So this nigga, he really don't fuck with white folks. Now, the nigga name is Micah, and Micah is 25 and he's an Army veteran living in Dallas. And Micah, he's an interesting ass dude. In fact, he's real pressed about 12 being unnecessarily violent with his fellow black citizens. And one day in 2016, he hears the news about this cat, Alton Sterling. And Alton Sterling is a black man who got smoked outside a convenience store by white police officers because they allegedly thought he was reaching for a pole. And so Micah hears about this and he is super heated. I mean, a lot of folks are. And he feels like this shooting was straight bogus. But it gets worse for bruh because the next day he hears more terrible news about this dude, Philando. And Philando, he was out pushing his whip with his shawty and his daughter one day, and then the boys pulled him over, and the same thing. They took him out because they allegedly thought he was reaching for a strap. And so Micah hears this news, and he has had it with this BS. How can this keep happening? How can 12 just keep bodying black citizens and then walking away like nothing happened? And this is when he just snaps. And he decides to get back for both Alton Sterling and Philando. And he's finna do that by smoking as many white police officers as he can. And so he gets to work on this play. He's looking for a spot where he can pull this off, somewhere with mad police officers running around. Then he realizes there's finna be a local protest in Dallas about those recent shootings, and 12 will definitely be there to control the crowd. And so Micah grabs his assault rifle and a blicky and a bulletproof vest, and he slides over to the protest. And then he gets there and he parks close to it, and he hops out and he straps on his vest, and a protester passing by peeps him, and he thinks he's a cop. And he's like, "Good day, officer." And Mike is all heated. He's like, "I ain't no fucking cop. Somebody finna die tonight." And I guess the protester like, "What the fuck?" And so Micah, he sees a group of police officers and he walks up and he casually starts chopping it up with them. And I guess he's like, "Ah, y'all, how y'all doing today?" We actually don't know what he specifically said to them, but suddenly Micah brings out his rifle and he starts letting off at them. And the officers are like, "Oh shit," and they return fire immediately. And Micah runs for cover, and folks hear the gunfire and they start tweaking and running for their lives. And Micah, he tries to force his way into a nearby college by shooting at the glass doors. But a couple of officers already inside and they peep him and they start shooting at him. But Micah, he's determined to get inside that building. And so he turns around and he spots an officer in his path and he shoots him. Then he finds another entrance to the building and he shoots through the glass and he forces his way in. And here he is. You want to peep him? It's a shot of him on security camera. Now, while all of this going on, 12, they looking for him and bullets flying everywhere. And at one point, one of those bullets hit him. So now he's wounded, but he keeps moving. And so he runs up the stairs and he makes his way into the college library. And there he finds a big window overlooking the street where a bunch of officers done gathered. And it's an elevated position and the perfect angle. And so from that window, he starts shooting down at the officers on the street. And blam, one of them gets hit. And blam, another one gets hit. And he shoots 5 cops total. And 2 civilians also get wounded. And around this time, Micah notices that 12 already in the building and they looking for him. And so he runs out of the library and he heads into an office that holds the school's computer servers. And so he gets into the server room and he finds cover and he keeps firing at 12. And the police, they can't just rush at him, because, you know, they might get hit. And so now we in a standoff and Micah, he ain't coming out, and 12, they not about to rush in there. Man, he got an automatic weapon and he already shown that he ain't scared to use it. Like, he already shot a bunch of them. And so they call in negotiators. And so now these negotiators all trying to talk to him. But Micah, he already not a fan of police officers, but he especially not a fan of white police officers. So he definitely not finna listen to these negotiators. So they send in a negotiator who's black. Now, this new negotiator, he starts talking to him and he trying to be nice and he like introduces himself. And they actually got some body cam footage of all this.
Why you say you're gonna die here anyway? So what does it matter, bro? Okay, I won't call you bro. I apologize. You said we're killing your black brothers, right? You know I'm black? All I'm asking is that we resolve this situation, man. I want to hear your story.
Now, Micah, he don't believe that this negotiator really black because he can't see him. And he tells him to prove that he's black by turning his weapon on the other officers and shooting them. Now, obviously, a negotiator, he not finna do that. He not finna shoot his coworkers. But he asks Micah, "Why you really doing this?" And Micah says, "African liberation." And the negotiator like, Micah, if you put your weapon down, maybe we can get you a news channel to tell your story. Cause he thinking maybe Micah just wants to get his message out there. But Micah, he's still not cooperating. He like, nah. And he says that men like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X been talking for decades, and the time for talking is over, and it's now time for revolution. And as the conversation continues, he don't seem like he finna give up, and it's still too dangerous for 12 to rush in, but he does start getting honest with him, and he tells him that he's really upset over the killings of Alton Sterling and Philando, and how all of that was handled, and that he doing all this as a way to get back on the police, particularly the white ones. Now, at this point, he tells them that he wants everyone, including himself, to transition from this life to the next. So basically, he's saying he wants everyone in this situation to die, including himself. And so the back and forth conversation drags on for 4 hours, and 12 still can't talk him into coming out. And during this time, he says all kinds of wild stuff. Of course, he says he don't really fuck with white folk, especially ones who are police officers, and that he wants to smoke as many as he can. Then he rants on about a bunch of conspiracy theories, and the negotiator, he tries to talk him down and talk him into surrendering peacefully. But Micah, he don't want to hear none of that. He makes it real clear that he ain't finna back down, and he like taunting the officers, telling them to come down the hall, come at him. And this is where 12 really begin to weigh their options. If they rush in, he definitely finna shoot them, and they could lose a few more officers. If they use tear gas, Micah might come out and shoot them, and they could also lose a few more officers. And so it just don't seem like they finna be able to negotiate their way out of this. I mean, they already exchanged 200 rounds with this dude. He killed 5 officers, wounded 9 other officers, and wounded 2 unarmed citizens. And so they decide there's only one thing left to do. They got to take him out with a bomb robot, which is one of those little robots. You probably seen them in movies. They kind of look like this. Now, normally these little robots, they used to defuse bombs, but 12 thinking in this case, they finna stick a bomb on one of them and have it drive into the room that Micah is hiding in and just blow him up. Now, they never done nothing like this before. In fact, no police force in the country has ever done nothing like this before, but they finna try. And so 12, they load explosives onto the robot and they drive it with the remote control over to where Micah is. And before Micah can react, kaboom, the bomb explodes and it takes him out.